But moving on to the next item on our agenda, now we've spoken about sustainability, but what happens once you've achieved a certain level of sustainability? What next? And that's exactly the question that will be answered in the next presentation, beyond sustainability. Gold Hotel is the way to go. We're going to hear from Mr. Roshan Cherry, who is the CEO and Chief Architect, once again, of the Doha Design Center. And he's also a Beyond Sustainable Ambassador, and he's come all the way from Melbourne, Australia, to come and give his insightful presentation to all of you today. So please help me in welcoming Mr. Roshan Cherry on the stage. Let's hear what we need to know beyond sustainability. Yeah.
First of all, may I thank IDE for giving me this opportunity to come here and share something which is very, very mind-boggling. And I want to go back to our message at 11 o'clock, Vikram Luba. Actually, Vikram, you really touched on a very important point. By 2050, we need places for 9 billion people. We need hotels, we need energy, and where are we going to get it from? So that takes it to beyond sustainability. Just going back. First of all, I want to honor my teachers. As you know, Zaha Hadid, I had opportunity to work with her in Australia in a couple of projects, and that's my father, Architect Cherian, who's the founder of Doha Design Center. When you think about buildings, a building is an icon of a place. You think about Dubai, you have Burj Al Arab. You think about Sheraton, you have Doha. And you think about Singapore, you have Marina Sands. So hotels has been a very, very important part of architecture. And if you look at the energy demand in the different building types, you have, the one in the red, that's the hotels here. So you have your offices, you have hotels, retails, and hospitals. So if you look at the red component, the maximum energy is actually taken by hotels. So that's why we come to green. I mean, the previous message about green and the initiative to renew and sustain. But how long? How long are we going to be green? How long can be sustainable? Is really green saving our planet? Because the way we treated the earth, it's already destroyed. And imagine you sustain a destroyed earth. How are we going to continue that? So you see, there's a lot of greenwashing happening these days. Like, we are green, and so we need customers coming in. But actually, is this making an impact? So our architects back in Melbourne, we've been working on the CS2 building, and we found, green is a great initiative. But we need to transition from green to something called gold. And that's why I want to introduce this new concept called Beyond Sustainability, which is gold architecture. So it's a transition in our mind. We think about green, we talk about green, but we're thinking about 2050. We're thinking about the future energy use, the population explosion coming in. So we need to move from green to gold. So I want to show this particular video because I want to take you guys to the future. Now what's going to happen in 2050? How are we going to live? How are we going to have food? So I want to show this particular video which has been developed on Beyond Sustainability, on how buildings are going to be dynamic and how it's going to produce energy, how a building is going to produce water, how a building is producing air. And this is hard to change. Like 40% of the world energy is taken by the hotels. By 2050, we have 9 billion people on this planet. And do you think we can have space for all these guys? Hotels, apartments. And this is a concept of the next level of buildings. What's going to happen by 2050? We're going to have static buildings. Dynamic buildings going to move. We're going to produce our own food. We're going to produce our own oxygen. This is where we're going to go. We call it beyond sustainability. This is where we are going. It's gold architecture. Our vision is to create this. Our vision is to see every building like a tree and every city like a garden. This is our vision. This is where we are heading to. So there's a process of how you achieve this one. Now, beyond sustainable has become a trend around the world. There are forums, there is books being written. They say we need a radical approach from sustainability. So people are starting to think about 2050. They're starting to think about the energy crisis. They're starting to think about the spatial constraint and all this. So we here, everyone here has the responsibility to think beyond sustainable, to move into the gold, to provide for the generations. So I just want to bring some projects which we're working on right now. So gold architecture, you may ask, how is this possible? So it starts from design. Every DNA is in the design. So at Cherry DDC back in Melbourne, gold architecture is a new way of designing. So what we do is we take the fabric and the space. So the fabric structures is a separate component, and the interior space is a separate component. The whole idea is the fabric has to produce energy, and the space also has to produce energy. So when you think about a fabric, it can be a solar fabric, it can be a wind fabric, it can be a geothermal fabric. So pretty much like a tree, like how can we design a hotel or a building like a tree? So there are mainly 3 principles, what we found. I mean, any gold building needs to have these 3 principles. One is a fabric, the second is a space, third is a flex spaces. The way we design fabric is not just form just follows function, but form follows purpose. Every tree you see has leaves in a particular angle because the sunlight has to come through. Or there's a reason for a form. So I just want to go through how we develop in our office, about how we develop fabrics for a beyond sustainable architecture. The main components of a fabric is the wow factor. We need to see, when you see a building, we need to feel the wow factor. You need to see the creative juice, the creative forms of expression, the collectors, the wind, the sun path diagram. These are always used in green architecture. But in gold, what happens is we have a creative element in it. You have a creative element. Someone sees a building and they say, wow. That's because you have the concept of how we design fabric is like this. So we have the Fibonacci principle in every building. So this is the golden triangle ratio. So when a human perceives a particular structure, they have a golden ratio which is imprinted in the brain. So how a building needs to be designed, not just a form. Because I like the form, I like a shape, so I put the form. No. The building has to be related with the topography of the land, the sun path diagram, the culture, the art, and how we actually program. So this is how we develop fabrics. In the modern way, I'm sure the architects know we use a lot of programming softwares now where we can even ecotect, and there's a lot of softwares where we can find the fenestrations, where do you need most light, what's the most heated part of the building. And so the form is actually a product of all these factors. The form is a product of the vista, the lights, the wind force. So there's a lot of factors, and the creative aspect. So these are some of the fabrics which we have developed. I mean, we developed this for Doha Opera House. We wanted to get an iconic structure, the wow factor in it. And we wanted to get how energy can be produced from such buildings, how energy can be produced when people walk into the spaces. This is another one we developed for a hotel concept, where we're working on a concept where we have abstract forms, but different portions are taken as different. You see the elongated area actually is the coffee shop area, and you have the red, it's a casino entry. This is another complex again we developed for a exhibition center. This is a shopping complex again. It's again the fabric. So we wind the fabric and we reduce energy. This is a project we are working now in Ain Khalid, 200 villas concept. And it's a mix of the modern and the Arabic culture. So pretty much a guy walks out of the car, the house is actually cooled. So you have the cooling, the air conditioning comes all the way there. So your thermal comfort is very well regulated. So, but when you enter, it's Arabic culture. So culture is a very, very important portion of sustainability. The second thing is space. So how do you create a space where it produces energy? So this is how we work on a lot of concepts. So energy producing spaces. You have a building, can this produce energy? So the people in the space needs to be motivated. And that brings an app, one app called Angry Birds is 1 million. So an app is an idea. An idea is one person. So every person here is millions. So that's gold. That's money to the user of the building. Again, energy spaces. This is Microsoft. This is another concept where people actually dance in a hotel, and they produce their own piezoelectric energy. And the third concept, how we work on gold architecture, gold beyond sustainable hotels, is flex spaces. How the same space can be used by multi-occupants, where the same space can be used by tourists, same space can be used by educationers. So how, as architects, we can do this? And we also integrate a lot of technology, like robotic building, drones, flex spaces, how the same space can be remodeled. And that brings to Gold Hotel. So Gold Hotel is a very, very new concept. And back in Australia, we had the CS2 building, it's 10 stars. And we had developed this concept onto the hotel concept now. And so we are doing a hotel in Algeria right now. And these are the 4 concepts, which are the basic ingredients of a gold hotel. You have the fabric, you have the space, you have the technology, and you have the spaces. Anybody can design a gold hotel. It's not just us, but all of you can design it. The DNA is the gold. So just have a comparison with a green hotel and a normal gold hotel. So you have the fabric, which is very functional, but in a gold hotel, the fabric is a wow, extraordinary factor. It becomes an icon, it becomes a landmark. Then you have energy-producing fabrics, where as in a green hotel, it's functional. You can put solar panels wherever you have a space. But in gold hotels, we actually plan the energy required to be positive. It's more of a positive structure. The hotel actually produces energy. So the whole surface area is pre-designed to have the energy and solar panels. And then you have energy recycling happening in green hotels, but where you have energy producing, and you have a state is static. We're working towards dynamic buildings now, where like plants, like hotels can move. Where the sun moves, the room moves, and the solar panels move. So we are moving to that phase, guys. We are moving to that phase of 2050. As I showed the picture, it's going to come out. We're going to have dynamic buildings coming up. We have the rotating tower. That's the start of it. We have the rotating tower coming up in Dubai. And the greatest part, if you build a gold hotel, this is a jackpot. You are going to sell the electricity being generated from your hotel. It's like an off-the-grid hotel. So when it's an off-the-grid, you can supply it back. You can supply it back to the Karama or any power distributor. They would pay you the money. So very much we advocate gold hotels. Now the benefits. You have a huge benefit on environment. We really reduce the waste of water and we produce water. The way we produce water is from the air. We conserve natural resources. We improve the air quality. There are certain chemicals actually we use on the facade which can actually absorb carbon dioxide and we can actually absorb carbon, so the pollution is totally reduced. You have the economic benefits. Again, as I told you, the gold hotel is going to generate money because every kilowatt that your building produces is going to be sold onto the electrical guys, you know. Actually, in Australia, people don't work. You know, I'm just in Perth and stuff. They have a roof, and that's what they need. I mean, they don't go for work because the roof makes all the money. So we got to adopt this principle. Let the hotel make the money, and it just runs by itself. You don't need to even invest anything into it. I just want to take you through some of the works of gold hotels that we're doing right now. Okay, the first project we had was an invitation from here to go to Algeria, and we went there, a place called Skikda. It's a Mediterranean Sea and very, very beautiful. We went there and we were thinking, how can we make a gold hotel there? And this is the view of the whole, the ocean. And we reached there and it's quite elevated. So we wanted to get a concept of how we can use the water, the resources. The concept in Gold Hotel is to use the existing resources, existing natural resources like sun, the water, the tidal, and even geothermal. In some places, geothermal energy is the best. So that can be positive energy. And that's Mr. Mohammed has been explaining how he wants a hotel and things like that. So the whole concept, the culture of Algeria's Skikda, you see a lot of swallows. Like, you know, like you have these birds and just keep going. So we wanted to create an iconic hotel. And we created it. It's the only hotel in the world which has all the rooms facing the sea. And imagine a gold hotel, if you say it's a sea view room, you're going to charge, the customers are ready to pay for it. The customers are ready to pay for it. So every room faces the sea. And that's how we developed this. We had 2 arches where you get the vista, that's the ocean view. And we worked on the section of it. And we had a bit of difficulty in terms of services because you have a curved structure and you have all these linear pipes and plumbing systems. So we even innovated, we found a method to do that. We find energy is being produced. And not just that, through the tidal waves of Skikda, this hotel is actually running positive. And this hotel is now a light in that area. We are feeding into the local community. So this is possible. This is possible even in Qatar. It's possible in any part of the world. And we have done it. We can do this. So that's how it's, we started forming the form, again, the fabric, as I explained, how the concept of the seagull and how the envelope, how the fabric really programs, and this is the form. And it's futuristic, it's very iconic, and it's an icon in Algeria right now. So we have the first gold hotel having 100% view towards the sea. And it produces more energy than it consumes. The second project which I want to show is a gold office in Lusail, which we're working on right now. This project is in the new Lusail, which is right hard in the CBD. So we had this main road and we wanted to incline it. And we wanted this concept of, we wanted to produce energy. We want to produce food. So can an office actually produce food? Can buildings start producing food and vegetables and fruits? And they have a jog in between. Can they have a rest in between? This was our concept. So we started working. So how do we get the light in? and those ways. So we removed the central core. Generally in a building, what happens, you have a tower, you have a central core, and it stops all the light coming in, and there's no way, it's all cramped and all corridors. So we took the core out, we took the lift, we took the core, we took the services out, and we designed a way how all the light comes in. So most of the lighting is actually done by natural light. And most of the lights are even solar powered. And you have the green stuff, this is the concept. And we had another concept where we wanted to get the water, because Qatar celebrates on water. The economy of Qatar was in the water, and it's still in the water. So we want to celebrate, so the building becomes a celebration. Again, cultural aspect. So how we took the water to be the interaction membrane between the entry and inside. So every person entering the building is actually going to walk through the waters. They're going to hear the sound of the waters. Not just that, the water cools the thermal mass. It's chilled water cooling the thermal mass, so the air conditioning load, and this is what we developed. So if you have a look at the waters there, the waters actually cool the plaza. And the plaza is the main area where a lot of people come in, there's a lot of mechanical air conditioning load coming in, but now with this new feature element, with this new aesthetic element, looks like a fountain. So this is a boat, the Qatari Dhow, which is in the water. And the water overlaps all through 24/7. It's like a fountain. It's a living building fountain. So this is a fountain where you have the Qatari Dhow on top of it. And that's how we developed this gold office. There was one we developed back in Australia. It's actually built in Macau. It's called the City of Dreams. We won awards for it. And again, it was 2008. And we started developing the concept of gold in this particular project. So we had the different areas. We had the water, the elements of earth. So how can we really depict? So when people walk into the spaces, can we have fireballs coming? Can we have experiential? Like I heard, experiential hotel stay is something which people like. They want to have an experience of the fire or the fireballs coming. And they have a dragon coming. They have a hologram. So this was an experiential, like a theme park. So how can hotels be theme park? How can it be creative? So rather having a simple, like a box of concrete, can we make it more interesting by having experiential? And this is the landscape. So we had this concept of the fire. So we need the fire rings. So even the landscape was modeled in such a way, it looks like fire. So areas where you have the fire, everything depicted that kind of the landscape, the furniture. This is a beautiful thing. We even designed even the lights to look like fireballs coming. We had pools, so with colors, and so that's how it was. This is again the details, and I still remember those days. We had like huge salon sheets, like really A1 and A0 and lying nights, and we finished this. And right now, this is it. You guys need to fly to Macau, have a look at this, and this is the start of the Gold Hotel. And it's all built now, so we have 5 five-star hotels in this complex. And so this is City of Dreams, won awards. The last one I want to really take you to, it's a different world. 2050, our generations are going to live here. We need fruits, we need water, we need vegetables. We are humans at last. So how do we make this possible in this desert? So our office has come with an ingenious beyond sustainable dome, which is actually a 5-kilometer dome. And we are actually working with people to build a 5-kilometer dome where you have hotels, and the buildings are the pillars of this dome. We have hotels, we have farmlands, we have theme parks. We have different kinds of cultures, different nations, different climates. So we can actually control the climates. So this is something which we're really working on right now, and very free to talk to anybody who's interested to work with gold buildings, gold hotels. And so can we have a hotel like a tree? That's my question. And tourism, actually walking through the garden. The hotels needn't be pillars, but it needs to be flourishing. It needs to flourish so we can have our generations have a beautiful tourism ahead. So let's all work together to create this beyond sustainable world. Thank you.